Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming and welcome to another first Descendant video. So time for an updated look at Freyna in episode 2. Not much has changed. We have of course Arche tuning which has tweaked a few things and I wanted to spend a little more time on that. So Freyna basically does toxic damage. She hits enemies with her poisons. They take multiple dot damage over times. And if they stand in the puddle, they take damage. If they die, they explode and they spread poison to their teammates nearby and so on. So basically, she just spreads poison, and the contagion mod just does all that spreading of poison even further. And the more enemies there are nearby, the more she is successful. That is why when she dropped with 400% dungeons, she absolutely destroys them. So if you go in with a Freyna, a contagion Freyna, you can just stand and watch. She'll maybe in a handful of throws of her Q destroy the whole dungeon like something like a smaller Magister lab or something like that, she absolutely dominates. So in front of us, we have level 260 enemies, Legion of Darkness, 9 of them. Okay, watch what happens. Remember, these are level 260 enemies. You don't run into them out in the open world. You only find them in Void Erosion Purge. Everywhere else, you find level 100 enemies. So all 9 of them dead with one hit of her Q. So if she can do this to level 260 enemies, you can imagine what she'll do to level 100 enemies. Now the devs did say they will nerf her via content. That's what they said, like nerfing Freyna via content, and they have to some extent succeeded with that. They have created new missions and dungeons where she cannot succeed. Like the Void Erosion Purges, they rely more on gun, and the later stages also don't have any faction like these guys, Legion of Immortality, that are weak to toxic. So that is how they tried to balance it. The new Colossus we've had up until Tormentor, everybody else was just toxic type that she couldn't, dominate. Deathstalker was toxic type, Defiler was toxic. So they tried to do that so that she cannot succeed there. But everywhere else she dominates. Even the Void Vessel, they put the enemies into bubbles so that you need the Voltia beam rifle. Otherwise, she would have just destroyed that as well. And she's still pretty good. Now with the Arche tuning, you can tweak her a little more and get more power. All right, so let's get into the build here. So build is more or less the same. I think I've changed one mod here. So what we try to do is put as much power as possible, put as much cooldown as possible, okay, so that she can use her abilities frequently. You have to find a balance between the MP cost and using the abilities. If you put like too much cooldown and you start spamming, you'll run out of MP. So you have to play a little carefully. And then, of course, we have a little bit of duration. So that is all you need for Freyna. So we use the contagion mode. Like I said, this causes the explosion when enemies die and it spreads to people. We have focus on tech and focus on toxic to give us power and cooldown. And then we have tech amplification and toxic amplification to give us more power. Now Freyna has very low crit, so we are working with the amplification mods. She only has 5% base crit, so these are the ones that remove the critical hit damage and the critical hit rate so that we just use the base power of the things. So these four will do that. Then we have nimble fingers and MP conversion to bring down the lower the cooldown. We also have skill expansion for range. We have HP amplification for HP. Amplification control gives us range. Okay, and then we also have MP accelerant, which gives us a bit of duration and a tiny bit of MP. Now, if we look at the numbers here, what we have is the cooldown is down to 2 seconds. So you can cast your first ability every 2 seconds. I did not want to lower it further because then you'll run into problem of spamming too much. And as I showed you, one hit, and if you wait a little bit, you can kill most enemies. You don't need to spam it constantly. Okay, second ability, this gives you sort of a plague body armor. This is a defensive skill. So if you use this one, if the enemies come and attack you, they'll get inflicted with poison. Third one is a puddle on the ground, which works very similar to the first ability. Only difference is in the first ability, there's an initial big damage number when you hit someone. Here, you just drop them on the ground, and you can see, look how wide the range is on this puddle. So anybody in this puddle will take damage. They walk out, they'll spread the damage outside, and you can see once again all 9 of them are dead. Okay, so that is the third ability. And the fourth ability is a unique one. This is basically a machine gun that she can use and do a lot of damage to enemies. So let me summon these guys again. Well, just one of them, I suppose. Let's go 3, and we'll make them invincible so they don't die. Now, the way this works is she pulls out this gun here, and you can do a bunch of damage. There's a duration and a certain amount of ammo. I'll show you how to work with that. And you can see here we did 20 million damage with this gun. Now, by default, we start with 10 seconds duration, and we have 45 bullets. The gun you are holding in your hand influences how many bullets you get out of that unique ability. So if you see here, we get 84 by holding the Secret Garden. Now the gun, this unique ability takes some stats from your gun. So basically how much, if you have 2 ammo mods and you have a roll of ammo on the gun, it'll combine all of that and give you a number. So you can see here we had 84 on this one. Now if we use the other gun, the Fallen Hope, this one I think only has 1 ammo mod. Okay, so if we use the third again, we are getting 76. Last time we got 84. Okay. So just shoot here. Now you have to pay attention to 2 things. If you put too many bullets here, you need to have enough duration to empty the whole magazine. So if you have, let's say, 95 bullets, 94 I think is the maximum I managed. And if you only have 10 seconds, you may not be able to empty the whole thing. Okay, so let's reset again, and this time we have the Voltia beam rifle. Okay, so if we do this, we are again getting 84. Now, the gun here does not take the bullets if you have a core with ammo in it. So it'll just take, if you see here, I have rounds per magazine core on the Voltia. This is not taken. It'll take the weapon options, the rolls, and it'll take any ammo mods you have in the gun. So that will be added and into the final ability. Now this does a lot of damage, and early on when we were playing the game, this was the main Colossus killer in a way, because at the time we did not have guns with cores and things like that. So this was the most one of the most, or if not the most powerful thing. But also keep in mind, this is treated as a skill, not as a gun. Okay, even though it looks like a gun and it shoots like a gun. Notice here on the information, firearm damage dealt 0, skill damage dealt 20 million. So it's a skill. Okay, so if you're shooting at enemies where, like let's say the bubbles in the void vessel where you have to shoot with a gun, if you shoot them with this, it'll not break the bubble because this is skill. Okay, so that is basically it for Freyna's abilities. Now let's again, we have looked at the mods. Now let's look at the other things that I've used. So notice here the range and the duration. So we have a slight increase to the skill power. Our cooldown for the first is 2 seconds, and now the maximum range for all her abilities is 300 times. So if you go right at the bottom where it says room 0 trauma, last item there, max expandable range 300%, and our radius is 6. We have maxed it out to 18, so perfect 300 meters. Now this doesn't happen by the mods. I've used a little bit of Arche tuning and inversion reinforcement to just max it out. So over here you have this adrenaline rush perk, and with this quantum domain we get some skill power and we get some range. So combining all of that, we are getting it to a perfect 300%. Otherwise it's just a little short, and that's why I was able to save on the range mod. Okay, so we've had a look at the skills. Now let's look at the arcade tuning. So what I've done is I've gone with 2 setups here. If you like to spam her skills and just use her skills and kill enemies and things like that, focus more on the skills and go this way. Cost, very minor improvement, so I skip this one. We want a little bit of range. We go through here, enhance skill. This actually works on Freyna because her skills have very high numbers. We take the MP recovery out of combat. We go up to here, grab the purple ones. They tend to help. So get these purple MP, take all the skill. This one is very good. And then we go up to here and take the golden one. Now notice this one is 500. This one is only 643. This one only cost you 1 point. This cost you 643. But that is all the skill points available. So we are trying to get everything here. I think I've picked up all the skill nodes here. And then after that, you can pick up some health if you want it. Okay. Now, one thing I want to mention here is when Void Erosion Purge came out and there was a lot of backlash, the next dev stream, the devs apologized and they said, we have something coming out in March that will give the Descendants extra defense. So let me show you how strong these nodes are compared to the skill nodes. So over here, Freyna has 9,844 defense. I have no defense mods. Only defense I have is like on the over here, over here. That's it. Okay. Now 9844. Remember that. Now watch what happens when we take these three defense nodes. 18,664. That's how much we are getting. Now keep in mind with the arcade tuning, this is not meant to um, make you much more powerful. You're just rounding out your build, because I've seen a few comments from people saying, well, it's not helping much, it's not doing much. And that is intentional, because one, look at these nodes here. They plan to add future boards. So think of this as core 4s or core 5s. When we got the guns, we got like up to core 6s, and at the time it improved certain guns, but it did not make a huge difference. When we got core 10s, the difference between the core 6 and 10 was massive. It just made some of the guns were completely busted after that. So that turned them into a very powerful guns. So this is something similar in my opinion. So they are trying not to give us too much skill power, and just giving you enough to sort of finalize one or two things. If you're missing a little bit of range, you get that. If you're missing a little bit of health or MP, you get that and sort yourself. But this was, I think, designed to give you more defense and health, as you can see here. Okay, so this is the setup if you are using just guns. If you are just not guns, just skills, I mean. So if you go, you spam your ability 1 and 3, take out your 4th and stuff. Go with something like this. Give yourself more health and defense. Take all the skill nodes here. You can pick up MP recovery modifier, MP recovery out of combat. Uh, this one gives you a lot of health. So you can just go with something like this. Cooldown is not necessary. You saw we have 2 seconds on our first ability. Even if you went all the way up here, it drops down to 1.4. And you'll just end up spamming and running out of MP. So I think this is not needed for this setup. Now, if you like to use your guns as well, let's say you built the Fallen Hope recently and you wanted to, try it out and shoot at enemies, some of the enemies, then you can go with something like this, where you take the skills, the more important stuff, and then you go up here and take the firearm here. No real need for the multi stuff, because this also doesn't give you a lot. And of course, you need to have the multi-hit mods and things like that that increase the multi-hit chance. So just focus on the firearm attack and then skill over here. Now let's talk about the external components. So good old Slayer set. This works well. It increases her skill by 26%, increases the cost a little bit, but we can offset that. It's not that big a deal. The reactor I'm using is cooldown and duration. I've had this reactor for a long time. I've been using the same one. This works fine for me. So something like this. You can also go with tech skill power and cooldown. Cooldown is always useful on reactors, so you can use cooldown. You can use a little bit of duration if you want. Now let's talk about the loadout here. So as much as we like the Fallen Hope, Secret Garden is still the better option for Freyna if you're using and relying on our skills, because the unique ability gives you more skill power and also more firearm attack. So whenever you are using a tech skill, and Freyna's 3 out of her 4 skills are tech skills if you use the Contagion mod. Apart from the second ability, 1, 3, and 4 are all tech skills. So you will be automatically using that. If you're holding this gun in hand, you'll get the pest control. And this pest control triggers every second attempt. So let me just show you what it looks like. So pest control, you can see that that's the pest control. It has a low cooldown, but if you're constantly using, you'll have that up all the time. This gives you more power in your skills and more power in the gun as well. Now the other thing is, with the cores on this gun, you can also put some quality of life stuff. So I have put 2 sprint speed cores, 17 and 18%, and in the free slot I put the grapple. Now reason for that is you're not using the gun often, so I thought I'd put more stuff that helps us keep up with the Inez and the bunnies and all of that. So normal sprint speed is 800, okay? And with these 2 sprint mods, which are not maxed out by the way, I'm getting 1080, almost 1100. Freyna's running 1100 without any abilities or something. So she's almost keeping up with the bunnies. I think bunnies sprint speed is 1200. With electric condense, she goes to 1300. Inez goes to 1300. And the other thing is I've put a grapple cooldown here. So what you can do is you can go up in the air, and just stay up in the air. That's how much cooldown we have. If you like using grapples and you want the grapple cooldown to be available, you can do this sort of thing. Also, as usual, I have a second secret garden, and this one has 3 sprint cores, and now she becomes ridiculously fast. So with 3 sprint cores, 20, 19, and 18, still not maxed out by the way, we are getting as high as 1256 sprint speed. Maximum is 1300, so we are almost there. The other descendants who are using abilities to generate speed, you are just casually walking up to them with the same level of speed without even trying. So this makes it a lot easier in dungeons, especially the new Sigma sector. You can keep up with the different descendants and not lag behind. Alright, so that is Freyna in episode 2. Hope you liked the video. Thank you for watching. See you next time.